Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be one of my first Doctor Who Series 9 videos. I've already done a trailer breakdown, but I always get a lot of requests for where to start watching. So this is going to be a video for where to start if you've never watched Doctor Who before. We're getting ready to enter Series 9, but this is the second year for the new Doctor, Peter Capaldi. If you're not familiar with him, and you're not familiar with the Doctors, the way the show keeps going for so long, it's been going since the 1960s, it's that every couple of years, the Doctor regenerates and they reboot the show. When fans talk about Doctor Who, typically they talk about two different eras. There's Classic Who, which is like everything from the 1960s up to a TV movie in the 1990s, and then there's New Who, which didn't start till 2005. The show was off the air for a number of years, and then Russell T Davies brought it back with the BBC. But even though they did like a ground-up reimagining of the show, they still reference a lot of stuff from Classic Who. You know, a lot of people make fun of the way showrunners deal with continuity going back to Classic Who in the 1960s. But for the most part, like look at this picture of Peter Capaldi on set right now. I mean, this is out of context, but he's wearing this red crushed velvet jacket that looks mysteriously like the third Doctor's jacket. So the writers find creative ways of bringing back things from Classic Who, from way back, and using them in new stories. There is a very famous rogues gallery of villains that we tend to see on a recurring basis. The Daleks are probably the most famous, next to the Master, who is now actually a woman. The Master and the Doctor exist in this Sherlock-Moriarty relationship, whereby, the Master used to be the Doctor's greatest childhood friend, and is now one of his greatest enemies. So some of my episode recommendations will be for specific concepts like regeneration, and some will be for specific characters like the Master or the Daleks. People always wonder, do I have to watch all of Classic Who to understand what's going on in New Who? Like, could you walk in blind to Series 9? Yes, you could, but it helps to watch one or two episodes for certain characters if we know that they're coming. The BBC always wants new people to start watching Doctor Who, so they try not to punish you for not having watched all of Doctor Who. Even if you've never watched Doctor Who before, you've probably seen the blue box, the TARDIS, before. You may not know what it's called, but it's actually the one that I have right here, this little toy. It's what you would call the Doctor's spaceship. It's how he travels through time and space. It's actually a living being. It's like a living machine. Doctor Who as a show is something of science fantasy, like in the way Star Wars is science fantasy. Last year's season was Peter Capaldi's first, so I think that they wanted to go a little more hardcore, so they did a few more scary episodes, and Stephen Moffat, the showrunner, always likes to joke about terrifying new generations of children, so they have been having some, fun with the idea of this Doctor being like a really terrifying schoolmaster, as opposed to the heartthrob that Matt Smith was. If you miss Matt Smith's run, he was the person to play the Doctor before Peter Capaldi, which is like the opposite end of the spectrum. He was the youngest person to ever play the character. And speaking of young, the companions, if you're not familiar with Doctor Who companions, the Doctor picks a person to travel with him, sometimes for fun, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes there's this destiny aspect that they try to weave into it. The twist is that as much as the show is this really fun sci-fantasy adventure, the companions usually meet fairly untimely fates. It usually ends in tragedy. You get your childhood's wish to see all of time and space, but you pay the price for that. Sometimes the Doctor ends up leaving you in the future. That's actually what happened to his granddaughter Susan. Everyone's talking about her because they want Maisie Williams from the Series 9 trailer to be her. He might strand you in the future. You might be rendered immortal, forced to die and be resurrected over and over and over, like Captain Jack. You might even be turned into a goddess. I think, probably one of the most sad companion endings would be for Donna Noble. She was one of David Tennant's companions. He was the Doctor before Matt Smith. She almost suffered the exact same fate as Rose and got turned into this Doctor hybrid. So the Doctor had to wipe her mind so that the sheer force of what was happening to her wouldn't destroy her. So it's almost like for her, she never got to experience any of the amazing adventures with the Doctor, which I think is just the saddest thing ever. But at any given time, each companion influences the tone of the show. If you're a really good fan of buddy cop flicks, Donna and the David Tennant Doctor, that was basically like a buddy cop relationship. The current companion, Clara, with Peter Capaldi, the current Doctor, is more of a grumpy old wizard with an apprentice. Which is actually funny because the first Series 9 episode is called The Magician's Apprentice. So if you're a big Merlin fan, just expect Doctor Who to play with that idea just a little bit. I mean, the show itself isn't about magic, but they do have fun with fantasy concepts. But really, the biggest concepts that you need to understand are who the Master is, who the Time Lords are, the race that the Doctor belongs to, who Clara is, how regeneration works, and how the TARDIS works. So if you're going to start somewhere, I would start with David Tennant's The End of Time. A lot of you will point to this as being the finale, so it's kind of a weird choice, but it does a really good job of telling the story of the Master and the Doctor as a child and their relationship with the Time Lords. The Doctor is a very nice person, but the Time Lords are very bad. After you watch The End of Time, watch Series 5, Episode 1. That was the very first Matt Smith episode after The End of Time. Then watch the 50th anniversary. It invokes a lot of classic Who and the Time War, this really big event in Time Lord history. Plus, it's basically like a really well done movie. They aired it in theaters. It's one of the best episodes of Doctor Who of all time. Then watch Series 6, Episode 13. That's the Christmas special, The Snowman. That was Clara's very first episode. They introduced the idea of the Impossible Girl, like multiple Claras that all keep dying across time and space. Then watch Series 7, Episode 10, that's Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. That gets into like how the TARDIS works, why it's alive. They actually explain the engine that drives the TARDIS, and how it is that it changes shape. Then you can watch Series 8, which was the season last season, Peter Capaldi's first run. Episode 1 of Series 9 premieres Saturday, September 19th, so if you feel like you have enough time, then just watch everything from the 2005 reboot, everything from Series 1 to now. Now that's a lot of TV, but it's on Netflix, so the runs are shortened just a little bit, so you might be able to get it all in. That's like the hardcore route though. But if you don't have time for that, actually I'm going to add one to like my bare minimum list. It's called The Fires of Pompeii. It's going to be really important to a storyline in Series 9, and it stars Peter Capaldi in a role that he had before he became the Doctor. The show has been going on for a long, long time, so sometimes actors will come on as guest stars in really minor roles, and then they'll come back on the show in a bigger role. The same thing happened to the person that was the 6th Doctor. Now Peter Capaldi, just for reference, is the 12th person to play the Doctor. So even though it's Series 9, he is the 12th Doctor. It can get kind of confusing because they rewrite continuity. During the 50th anniversary special, there was a person called the War Doctor, so people like to argue about, whether there's 12 or 13 doctors. For all intents and purposes, there's 12. But don't worry about that too much. Colin Baker, who was the 6th Doctor, actually starred on Doctor Who in a guest role before he became the Doctor. So he did the same thing that Peter Capaldi, the current Doctor, did. Stephen Moffat has said that there will be an episode this year that will explain why Peter Capaldi has the same face as this character here from Series 4. That episode also stars Karen Gillan, who went on to come back on the show in a different role as a companion. So Doctor Who can be really confusing sometimes if you haven't been watching it for a little while, but that's why whenever I do videos for episodes, I try to reference specific stuff like this. So I try to make it as easy to watch as possible. If you guys have any requests for bonus videos explaining certain concepts or certain villains, just let me know in the comments below. I've already done a couple explaining my favorite Master episodes, and I did a video last year explaining a couple episodes to watch, so I'll put links in the description for a couple of good bonus videos to check out next. It's going to be a really fun season, and the good thing about Doctor Who is that it airs on a Saturday, so there's no competition with other shows. I know it's really hard to watch more than 1 or 2 shows in any night. So here's my question for you guys. When you're talking to your friend that doesn't know anything about Doctor Who, which episode do you tell them to start with? What is the very first episode you think someone new to Doctor Who should check out? I always laugh a little bit when people ask, what's the most important episode of Doctor Who? How much do I have to watch? And people will say, well, you have to watch it all 50 plus years. But that's why I try to do these general explainer videos for really important concepts. And if you do want to go deep, if you want to go hardcore into Doctor Who, it's all there. Most of it's on Netflix right now. But what's probably going to happen once the season starts is that I'll do a Friday night bonus video, and then I'll do Saturday episode videos. I don't know if I'll be doing Q&As this year, just because Sunday I'll be doing Walking Dead videos, because Walking Dead and Doctor Who will be on at the same time. So there'll be a certain conflict, and I usually do Game of Thrones videos on Sundays too. So don't worry, I'll figure it out. Once we get closer to the season, I'll post my official video schedule for each week. And because we are getting ready for the season, I'm going to start my weekly Doctor Who giveaway. I'm just going to go ahead and start it right now. So all you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. There'll just be a new Doctor Who giveaway each time I post a new Doctor Who bonus video. And that'll continue through Series 9, all the Series 9 episodes. There's 12 of those, and a Christmas special. Also, don't forget, I know a lot of you have been asking me to do a Sherlock video from Comic-Con. I haven't quite had time to do it yet. There is a Sherlock Christmas special that's a full 90 minutes long. So get really excited about that. But it's like, it's not in the current continuity of Sherlock right now. It's set in the past. It's kind of a weird concept. So I'll do a video explaining that. So while you guys wait for all that stuff to post, you can click here for the video that I did last year, kind of explaining where to start with Doctor Who. I just have like a couple different recommendations. I usually try to adjust every year. And you can click here for my breakdown of the Series 9 trailer. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.